Hello everyone, welcome to Morning Shot. Oh wait, Byron says I can't say that. Anyway, apparently I waste time. So if you're not following the video because I say good morning, I don't know what the point is of watching this entire thing. But anyway, Byron, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner, and Home Affairs is definitely not a business. So there's a grand plan in Home Affairs to hire 10,000 people in South Africa, 10,000 people at roughly 5,000 Rand a month, and their sole job is to digitize the entire Home Affairs archive dating back to 1895. So that's 286 million records or somewhere around there. Paying people money to basically just scan records seems like, something so moronic that only a government can think of it as a legitimate way to create jobs, right? Or is that just me?
No, it's just you. It's just you because this is our government. Do you have you? You're a lawyer, man. I'm a lawyer. We know this stuff. You ever go on the government website and have a look at the acts of parliament whenever they kind of like they produce them and then they're signed into law?
That's right. Yes, I have.
You ever had a look at them? They're scanned. You ever notice that they scanned on and they put them up there? Now you got to think like, how come no one actually thought to themselves, why don't you just PDF it? You've got the Word document, PDF it, and upload a nice clean version. But they don't do that. They're like, no, 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 no. Scan a copy and put it up there. And the scan always looks like oh shit, man. Like it never the page is always like slightly skew and
Yeah,
there's weird
digits
black borders. Like
missing.
it's always like that. So yeah, you got to kind of look at it and go, nah, I'm not surprised, man. Uh, this is the way they do things.
I mean, listen, I'm not surprised at all, but like I quote the Home Affairs Minister says the department is increasingly using technology to improve the way it renders services to people and improve the security of our documents. Mate, I'm sorry to say, the scanner has been around for what, 40 years? That's not
Probably
new
more.
tech. This is not technology. This is like it's like trying to send a fax like in 2022. Like this is so old, right? And
Oh,
now
mate, they still use taxes in government departments. I'm dead serious. I know I had to go through to one of the driving departments and one of the motor departments, and I asked them to do something on my license because I tried to convert it from the UK to South Africa. And the guy that was there, he did like all my paperwork, and then he walked over to the scanner to scan it and send it through to Bishu. And I was like, "Are you for real? Are you faxing this thing?" He's like, "Yes, they want everything in fax." And I was like, "No." It's like, yeah,
yeah.
2000. It's like 2020. You guys are still using fax. He's like, yeah. I was like, how do you know there's even paper at the other end? He says, well, that's the problem. Like quite often we send the stuff through on fax, but there's no paper at the other side, so it's just like the rolls and that's it. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this, man. I even said to the guy, why don't you just email it? And he was like, yeah, but their servers get overfilled with emails, so it starts to reject the incoming emails because they got too many that's unread. And you're like, yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. So now, of course, the president and the minister are saying this is a great way to create jobs. 10,000 young people will get jobs for scanning documents, and this is part of the presidential job stimulus. I mean, the problem is, Byron, and as we well know, that this is not creating jobs. This is
No,
redistributing existing wealth derived from taxes, right? So the 2.5 billion rand
correct.
to digitize home affairs and give 10,000 people jobs. These are not real jobs. This is bullshit. This is a bullshit job at its finest. Because and
Yeah.
I'm not joking, you need a qualification in information technology and document information and records management. I never heard of such a degree. Apparently they do exist. So you need a degree, you'll earn 5 grand a
I don't
month.
think there is such a degree, mate.
Me neither. And then you need to digitize, i.e., scan documents. This is a bullshit job. This is like trying to build a road and not giving any spades. You only give teaspoons to the people because then you have 1,000 people digging the road up with teaspoons because you're creating jobs. But that doesn't mean it's a good way to deploy resources. But this is the same fallacy that they produce over and over again. For the government, this is like a win.
Yeah, so I suppose, just being serious about this for a moment. I mean, I struggle to take this article serious just because of how bullshit it is. But just being serious just for 1 minute. Okay, so the first thing is that they're saying that they're going to pay these people five grand a month. Man, I employ people. You're not going to get some guy with an RT degree earning 5 grand a month, man. Like Most programmers in the country are in the skill scarce bracket, so they demand some pretty big figures. The second thing is he's saying it's $5 grand a month to have these people doing scanning. But the fundamental problem is that once the unions get hold of that, that $5 grand won't be $5 grand for much longer. They'll be demanding double digit pay rises, they'll be demanding benefits and all the other shit that goes with it. Because remember, these will be government workers. The third thing is when I worked in the UK government, we had a scanning department and we went through a period of digitalization in 2005, so a long time ago. But we
Ancient
bought
history.
some scanners and we actually went through and we scanned everything and then digitalized it. So the reason I mention this is because I have some experience at it from a government level. And the first thing I'll tell you is these scanners are prone to like jamming and breaking, especially when you're going through like 200 million records or whatever they're quoting. Like these things are, they're not like you can't go to game and buy like the old handheld scanner, the one that's like, "Rrr." And you also can't have the old like printer on scanner on your Lexmark 360, where it's like you put a piece of paper and you load it and you do this and get like these things are high quality scanners, and they cost a lot of money, man, like a real lot of money. And they do break quite a bit. There's always some numpty that works for you that because they'll do like bulk scanning. So you'll put something through and it will go through on the belt conveyor, will go doof, 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 and it'll scan the whole thing in PDF it. But what does tend to happen is you always get that one numpty that doesn't take out the staple, or it's like a book binder and he thinks that you're just going to put it through there. So these things are prone to breaking. And with constant usage, remember, a lot of the components on them are plastic. So what they tend to do is they tend to heat up, and then when they overheat, the plastic breaks. So then you've got like a really expensive bill, with like Kodaks or something that's going to come through and fix these things. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't see the government being able to afford to constantly keep fixing scanners. I mean, they don't look after freaking police vans. Like, how are they going to keep up to speed with a scanner? I don't know. But with that being said, either way, I suppose the final point I'd make is that, and this is what I know even from government, it's like these projects are usually timed because you're scanning a backlog. But remember, every day you scan, there's more documents that are scanned. This means less of a backlog. Eventually, you do get to a point where you run out of work for them to do. But one of the things that we know our government is terribly bad at is that when they want to employ, they do it because then they say, look, we improved the job numbers. Government created jobs. Even though it's not the government's job to create jobs, because the government doesn't actually run a profitable organization that brings revenue in for the purposes of providing a service. The government brings in taxes for the ability to basically do nothing quite often. And we can sit here and debate the merits of the tax system, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is that for the UK's point of view, the project was timed. So we had 2 years to scan everything and then the project closed down. I can't see our government wanting to retrench 10,000 people when the project's finished. Can you?
No, I can't. So they do have like a 3 year scope on this particular project, and then they
Mm-hmm.
say in the article they will then help these people, workers, leverage entrepreneurial opportunities after the fact. But then, interestingly enough, because it's Women's Month, I said I can't say woman, whatever, adult female, I'm not a biologist, 60% of the people that are going to be in the intake are going to be women because it's Women's Month, which seems to be rather, I hate to say it, like rather sexist. Like women are very good at scanning documents, they will just hire a lot of them, and then they won't complain about the salary or the work because women in general tend to be far more agreeable than men psychologically. So like there's this weird notion where we need 10,000 people, 6,000 of them will be women, and we're going to hire them at $5 grand a month to do this bullshit job that no one really wants to do. In, but not because they are better workers, because we want to honor them for Women's Month. Do you see the bullshit, or am I just looking at it far too closely?
No, this is typical ANC propaganda. I think yesterday there was another thing where the ANC said because it was a person with a cervix month, um, because it was chest feeder month. The person said that the ANC cannot afford for their next deputy president not to be a woman. But this is the same kind of bullshit we're seeing in Joe Biden's America, isn't it? It's like, okay, we need a new constitutional court judge, and that's like the most important position in the judiciary. So clearly, what we need is a black woman. Okay, but I'm not sure that melanin content and your XY chromosomes is the criteria you should be using when determining whether the person is sufficiently good to be able to interpret law. Because last time I checked, your melanin counts and your XY chromosomes don't affect your ability to do forms of legal interpretation. But maybe that's just me, man. Like,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not a biologist either. So,
you're only saying that because you're not a white supremacist, to be honest. I mean, white supremacist thinks that is correct. Like your melanin content determines what you're able to understand or not. But white supremacists, ANC government, they agree in this regard. Well, and Joe Biden's government, to be honest. It's weird. And we are the radical ones, right? Except we don't agree with white supremacists. Anyway. Anyway, so there you go. I mean, I don't know. I got nothing more to add to this other than another stupid day in South Africa.
yeah, look, let's just, because people want us to, let's do some of the positive analysis, and that is like, let's look at the Cape Town fire that happened in the library, and there were some very important documents that were destroyed in that fire. And so, a cynical person might say that the government expects more civil strife to occur, and as that strife occurs, we know that the the should we say the strike response by the masses tends to be just setting the place on fire. And if you've ever been to a home affairs department, which you probably have, you know that these things are like full of paper everywhere, man. Like, so putting that place on fire would basically just be like a giant light keg. So it makes sense that they need to digitalize it. The same way, if you look at the central firearms register, you'd go, well, that needs to be digitalized as well. But here's the funny thing: is it was digitalized. It was digitalized with the Firearms Control Act, and the whole reason that they did that act in the first place was to digitalize it and make the whole licensing process faster. But what that actually meant in reality was that you go off and you print your application form, you complete it, you take it then to the station, and then the station scans it on, and then the station emails it over to the next department, who prints it out because they don't want to read on the screen. So they print it out, and then they fill in some stuff, and then they rescan it, and then they send it off to the next place. And you're like, so I can see this happening too, even in home affairs, man. I can see them scanning everything. The quality is going to be terrible. The documents are all going to be corrupt. Like, if you've ever even saved your own PDF, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So they're going to be scanning historical documents, and then they're going to shred them, and then they're going to be like, oh wait, the file don't load. And then even if it does load, it's going to go through to some guy at a different department, and he's going to be like, I'm not reading this on the screen. Let me print it out and put it on my desk. And it's like, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know, man. Like,
I just see a fuck up happening, man.
I don't know. I don't know
This
what to say,
this
man.
is not going to
I
happen
don't know
in
what.
3 years. It's not going to be just 10,000 people, and at the end of all of this, not much will be digitized at all.
No,
Nothing.
like the firearms theft.
Yeah, very much like the firearms thing. I
You
mean,
got you. Do,
scanning an email is
do you remember when
digitized, I
the
suppose.
Do you remember when John went off to the Central Firearms Register and he walked around there with the camera and he was like, "Have a look at all like the boxes," and the boxes were like piled up to here of paperwork, and you're like, "Hang on, your entire place is meant to be digital." And it was because they were just taking all the applications and printing them out and then going, "Oh, we'll deal with it later." Like, I don't know. I get what they're trying to do. I get the purpose of it, And like I said, a cynical person could be like, "Okay, it's what's needed,"
Yeah. If it
but
was
you
any,
so know that
yeah, if it was any other government, I'd be like, cool, that's a good idea. But it's the fucking ANC. Like we know that they can't do this stuff. So this is just another just
no,
giant waste of time, and a little pat on the back for hiring women to like scan documents. Like it's pathetic. And then everyone just like cheers it on because it's something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming
yeah.
far too
I mean,
cynical.
I can just see how this is going to go. Like, some guy who's going to be a department head's going to be like, "Oh, I know scanners," and then he's going to go off to Macro. He's going to buy like 100 of those like cheap ass scanners, like the desk ones, and then there's some woman's going to have to come in there every day and be like, one, two, Like when we did it in the UK, like I said, they were massive machines, man, and they were very, very expensive. But you would take your documents, like a whole thing, and you put it in, and the whole thing would just scan, like on a bell feeder, like when you have on a printer, like a high quality printer. And they worked. They worked okay. But you always had to check the file, and then you had to save it, and then save a copy. And there was a lot of fail safes because, as I said, the files are prone to breaking or being corrupted. So that's how we did it. But as I say, like the belts and those things, they were rubber belts. They would snap. You'd have to get people in all the time to fix them. I can just see the way the ANC will do it. And even with those bell fed things, it did take a long time to do the whole process. But you can just see, like, the way the ANC will do it is they'll buy a Lexmark like one at a time. Like the lady will get to the end of a 9 hour shift, and you'll be like, "So how many documents did you scan?" And she'll be like, "5." And you'll be like, "5, like that many." And you might be like, "Oh, that's nothing." But when you're doing it each page at a time, that's probably taken her the entire day. And you can just see that's the way it's going to happen. Like you can see it right now. It's just the way the ANC roll, man. And then
Yeah.
then they're going to get that the 3 year mark, and they're like, "Oh, we only scanned 10% of the documents. We don't understand why it's taking so long." And you'll be like,
Yeah, because the solution to this is to just have a scanner in every single Home Affairs. Hire one person to scan every new application that comes in. You start this 30 years ago or 20 years ago, which was possible. Everything would have been digitized by now, easily. But, you know, it's not a job creating opportunity, I suppose. But anyway, enough with all of that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
"Take it easy, bye."